Have you ever wondered what shapes a person? What battles are fought long before they even enter the world? Today, we're diving into a story of immense courage. A story that begins not with joy, but with a deep wound. This is the story of Mary's mother, Grace. Before Mary was born, Grace was a picture of quiet hope, a humble young woman with a heart full of simple dreams. She believed in the power of love, the dignity of hard work, and had an unwavering faith in God. Her life was on a peaceful, predictable path, filled with the promise of a bright future. But then, everything shattered. A wealthy man, known for his flashy lifestyle and considerable influence in their community, entered her life. He was someone she knew, someone she should have been able to trust. But he used his power, his position, and his familiarity to commit a terrible act. He took advantage of her innocence, forcing himself upon her and leaving a scar that would alter the course of her life forever. Soon after, Grace discovered she was pregnant. A wave of fear washed over her, a cold, terrifying dread. What would she do? How could she handle this alone? With a glimmer of hope, she went to the man, praying he would do the right thing, that he would acknowledge his responsibility. But her hope was met with a cold, hard denial. He rejected her completely, claiming the child wasn't his. And then, he vanished, leaving her to face the consequences alone. In an instant, Grace's world collapsed. She was now a single mother to be, with no support system, no one to protect her, and no financial security to speak of. The weight of the world was on her shoulders. It would have been easy to surrender to despair, to let the shame and fear consume her. Many would have, but Grace was not like many. In the face of unimaginable pain, she made a choice. She chose courage. She chose to fight. She decided to keep her child, to pour all her love into this new life, and to place her trust in God, believing that even in the darkest of nights, a new dawn was possible. T's decision, born from a place of profound pain, was an act of rebellion against her circumstances, a testament to the strength of a mother's love. This was the world Mary was about to be born into, a world where her mother had already fought the first, and perhaps most difficult, battle of her life. Grace's journey was just beginning, and the path ahead was uncertain. She was armed with nothing but her faith and a fierce, protective love for the child growing within her. This singular act of defiance, of choosing life and love over fear and shame, set the stage for everything that was to come. It was the foundation upon which Mary's own story would be built. Imagine the whispers, the stares, the judgment she must have faced in her community. A single, pregnant woman in those times was an outcast. Every day was a battle against societal pressure and her own inner demons. Yet, she held her head high. She worked tirelessly, preparing a home for her baby, finding strength in her prayers and in the little life fluttering inside her. She was building a fortress of love, one brick at a time, to shield her child from the harshness of the world that had been so unkind to her. Grace's story isn't just one of victory. It's a powerful narrative of survival and resilience. It reminds us that our beginnings don't have to define our endings. That even when others try to write our story for us, we hold the pen to write the next chapter. Her courage was the first gift she gave to her daughter, a legacy of strength passed down before Mary even took her first breath. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into a truly powerful backstory. If this story moved you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next part of this incredible journey. We'll see you in the next video. Even while carrying her child, Grace never stopped working. She scrubbed floors, did laundry, cooked meals for others, and ran any errand she could find. Oh, for just a little money. Day by day, her body grew weaker, but her spirit, her determination for her unborn child, only grew stronger. The constant stress, the bone-deep exhaustion, and the gnawing hunger began to take a toll on her heart. Doctors pleaded with her to rest, but for Grace, rest was a dream she couldn't afford. When little Miri was born, life became an even greater struggle. Grace worked from sunrise to sunset and often through the night, sometimes borrowing money just so Mary would have enough to eat, warm clothes to wear, and a chance at an education. Before Mary could even speak full sentences, Grace taught her to pray. She filled her daughter's mind with stories of faith, whispering the same reminder every single day. No matter what life brings, never leave God. But Grace's heart couldn't hold on forever. Years of relentless hardship finally caught up with her. When Mary was just 15, her mother passed away, leaving her utterly alone in a world that suddenly felt cold, cruel, and empty. Losing Grace shattered Mary's world. With no family left to turn to, the weight of survival fell squarely on her young shoulders. School became a luxury she could no longer afford. Finding work was her only focus. She took any job she could get, washing stacks of greasy dishes in back-alley restaurants, scrubbing floors in strangers' homes, and hawking trinkets on bustling street corners. But no matter how hard she worked, it was never enough. Hunger was a constant ache in her stomach, and the nights were long, filled with a crushing loneliness and fear. Her friends, who knew this struggle all too well, started whispering about another way. They talked of fast money, of nice clothes, of a life free from this daily grind. Mary could still hear her mother's warnings in her head, but desperation was a powerful force, pushing her towards choices she never thought she'd have it to make. Step by step, the path to survival was leading her further and further away from the girl she used to be. On Wednesday, Mary got to the church early. As she worshipped, she couldn't hold back her tears. They just streamed down her face. When the service ended, she didn't get up to leave like everyone else. She just sat there, her eyes fixed on the altar, lost in silent prayer. After a while, the pastor walked over to her gently. "Mary," he asked softly, "aren't you going to work tonight?" She looked up at him, her eyes filled with a mix of pain and a tiny flicker of hope. "Pastor," she whispered, her voice trembling, "I don't feel like I belong there anymore." The words hung in the air, surprising even herself. It was the first time she had ever said it out loud. That night, she told him everything, all her struggles, the deep pain, her fears, and the shame she carried. But instead of judgment, she was met with incredible compassion. "Thanks for watching." Mary eventually made a heartbreaking choice. Forced by hunger and a profound sense of hopelessness, she began to walk the streets at night. Each step was a battle, her real pain hidden behind a fragile, painted-on smile. It was a life she never wanted, a world of shadows and shame. But then, the sun would rise, and on Sunday mornings, you could find Mary sitting quietly in a church pew. She would sing the hymns with a heavy heart, her prayers filled with silent pleas. She gave her tithes, joined the fellowship, and shared in the community. To everyone there, she was just another member of the flock. She was living a fractured existence, torn between the light of Sunday morning and the darkness of Saturday night. Inside her, a constant war was raging. She yearned for forgiveness and the strength to escape, promising herself that one day she would break free. But every time, the harsh reality of survival pulled her right back in. One Sunday, exhaustion finally won. Mary had worked all through the night, and when she finally got home, she collapsed into a deep, heavy sleep. By the time she woke up, the sun was high in the sky, and the church service was already over. That evening, her phone rang. It was her pastor. His voice was kind. "Mary, we missed you today. Is everything all right?" She paused, the words catching in her throat. Her voice trembled when she finally answered. "I closed the shop late last night. Pastor, I was just so tired. But I promise I'll be at the midweek service." As she hung up, her heart ached. She felt completely trapped, living a lie she desperately wanted to escape. With her past behind her, a new chapter began for Mary. The church community embraced her, becoming the family she desperately needed. The women mentored her, sharing their wisdom and strength. The pastor helped her find safe, respectable work, and the entire congregation pitched in to support her dream of getting an education. The road wasn't easy. There were nights filled with tears and days where the weight of her past felt too heavy. But through it all, she clung to her mother's words and a newfound faith. Slowly but surely, Mary rebuilt her life, piece by piece. Years later, she stood tall as a counselor, dedicated to helping young girls who faced the same darkness she once knew. Her story became a beacon of hope, showing that redemption is always possible. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe for more inspiring stories.